Ooh. Oh, good. That's good popping. That's good popping of the fingers right there. We're live, man. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since the Texans roundtable has been on. We didn't even notice that everything just 3 games in 11 days. We did talk about the Dolphins, but we got to get into everything, man. First of all, what is going on, everybody? This is the Texans roundtable. We are missing, two out of our fellas, Ruben and AD. Obviously, they party too hard, man. They're just hungover. That's what I'm gonna say it as. I'm gonna label it as hungover. They partied hard, man. They go at it. Happy New Year's to everybody. Stressings. New Year's. Stressing or blessing on New Year's. How was
No,
it, man?
I'm blessed, man. I mean, I got a couple, young kids. So we got to go to a friend's house. So I wasn't, we got to spend quality time, but I didn't go too crazy. So that's probably why I'm here. I'm not deathly hungover. Probably like Ruben, I'm sure he's hungover. And then AD, maybe he's hungover, maybe he's busy, but I was good, man. Good holidays. Besides that, Texans lost to the Ravens, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But no, I'm happy to be here. Miss you, miss all the people we interact with. So happy to be on the show. Shout out
Yeah, man.
Delfonte Diamond on IG. He says checking in. Appreciate you, bro.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been quite a while since we've did a live stream, all of us, and I know we're missing Ruben and Ada. Shout out to both of them. Make sure if y'all not checking out the platforms, make sure to go in, check through, man. Hit the subscribe button. My channel, Stressing's channel, AD and the H Town Rundown, Ruben on the Mr. 713 Houston Sportscast. Make sure y'all do y'all's thing and show them some love, man. We got to go back in time though. We got to go backwards. Didn't do this in a while, so we got to go way back. Kansas City Chiefs. You took an L, 27-19. First off, before we do talk about it, how much fun, dude? How much fun was the watch party with the Kansas City game?
Oh, it was awesome, and I'm sure a number of y'all tuning in were there. I mean, it exceeded my expectations. I had high hopes for
Man,
how it would go, but I mean, the turnout was incredible. It was at least a couple hundred people, if
way
not
more than
pushing
that.
300.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything was perfect. Just the only thing was the outcome. But even then, I didn't feel bad about the outcome of the game. If we didn't have those injuries, I actually thought we played well and showed we can, handle that playoff atmosphere, loud environment, cold. It was just, I hate to say it, but the rest were that bad. But no, the event was awesome. It was great to meet people like you in person. A lot of people that we engage with in person. We had the live stream going with Ruben and all of us connected on there. We had over 8,000 viewers on there.
Yeah.
Beers were flowing, food was good, yeah, and Aziz showed up. That was crazy.
Yeah. That was awesome.
He was there from the beginning till the end. Took a picture with any fan who asked. Talked to everybody. I spent a lot of time with him, talking to him. He just seemed like a very chill, down to earth dude. And like afterwards, I realized like I literally just watched an entire Kansas City Chiefs game with the Houston Texans starting linebacker, like watching the game with him. Like it was insane.
Crazy. It's a crazy moment. It's funny because I see Aziz Al-Shair and how much of a dog he is on the field. We saw his Instagram post just yesterday, Demon Home, that's not the vibe I got from him when I met him in person. Like he is just such a down to earth guy. Like maybe I was just expecting a little more hoopla, maybe a little more pep in the step, but he's just a down to earth, real chill guy. I mean, literally, he's the meme. Like that's just who he
I'm a chill
is.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
basically.
people don't realize that like, you can be one way in a football field and be totally different in person. And so I think that's where he struggled a lot is people just assume he's this malicious guy and he's not, like to your point. And then even before that, like he's been known to be big in the community. But when he showed up to the party, I had posted on Instagram and he commented on it. And, I thought that comment, like he said, oh, I might have to pull up since I can't play, like a bunch of laughing emojis. And I was like, oh, he's not going to come. He's just,
Yeah,
making a funny
he's
joke.
joking.
And he pulled up and I talked to him. I was like, man, like you didn't have to come. Like I didn't think you would. And he like made it a point to say like, no, like I wanted to come to like say thank you to you and everyone else here who's like supported me and just like show my appreciation. So that's why he came, And we had a toy drive as well, which we got a lot of good donations, but he brought a bunch himself. And he made a lot of people's day. So, I mean, that just shows you how good of a guy he is.
Yeah, man, we had Fox 26 really highlighted the event as well. That was awesome. The toy drive was great. Everybody that we met, awesome to see all of y'all in person. A lot of guys that, hey, I've been watching your channel forever. This is my first time meeting you. Hey, awesome, man. I appreciate it. We all do. So make sure, man. Hey, we might have another one. Who knows? Who knows? Unfortunately, we had a Kansas City Chiefs game that did end up in a loss. Now, I didn't feel so bad after the game. I thought Chiefs game, okay, some tough injuries. You had Jimmy Ward go down. You had Tank Dell, the obvious one, where Tank Dell, as we all know now, is going to be out for the whole year. Probably won't be back until the following year, and we'll have to see how that goes too, and his rehab and everything. Definitely wish him a speedy recovery. I hope he's doing well mentally as well too. I know how it takes mentally. So it's a tough one, man. Losing Tank, and the reaction from the team drove a lot of people into a conversation around how the guys reacted, specifically CJ Stroud. And I want to know your opinion on it, Garrett. I know that, we had a few people, a lot of Texans Twitter was kind of like, some were basically leaning into, oh, it's okay for, the CJ and the guys to have the emotions of one of their brothers go down and have this injury. I have an opinion on it, and I feel like we might disagree, and that's okay. We could disagree and still move on.
That's fine.
But let's get it going, man. How did you feel about it?
I mean, I thought it was overhyped by, X amount of people. I mean, I didn't look much into it. And part of it too was we were at a watch party, so it's different than watching at home where you're sitting there and they're just panning to CJ, emotional. But I mean, like the masculinity part, if that's being thrown around, like I don't see that as a weakness. I think it's just, first off, prayers out for Tank. I mean, that's terrible, dude. I mean, I don't know if that's the same leg or not, but that's 2 years in a row that he's been injured by his own teammate. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but that's 2 years in a row. He's had a devastating leg injury, also got shot in that same leg, made a miraculous comeback, had finally gotten involved in the offense. We've been waiting all year. They finally got him going, and then boom, that happened. But yes, and then, just to paint like a background picture, like that really is like CJ's best friend. So he was emotional, and I can't judge him for acting like that. Like, I don't think any less of him. And you also do wonder too that like it may have affected him some of the Ravens game. I don't know what that was. We'll get to the Ravens game, but it may have been a factor there. But yeah, I don't agree with, maybe that's your point, but like acting like because he cried that he's not the franchise guy. I don't think that him reacting that way cost us the game. I think he got back into the game right away. You can't really prove one way or the other. If anything, the biggest thing was not having him on the field that cost us the rest of the game. But in my opinion, people critiquing it's just overblown.
Yeah. So, and it's a good point. It's great. I looked at it like, okay, I don't have a problem with him crying. Like I don't have a problem with one of your brothers. It's anybody. I know what Tank Dell means to him. I mean, we had CJ Stroud way back when we drafted him talk about, hey, talking about Tank Dell talking about, hey, I want to stay here in Houston, DM the Texans directly, like, hey, keep me in Houston. Him and CJ had the interaction before he got drafted and then got drafted here. I've been watching Tank Dell since his UH days, man. I love him. He's one of my favorite players. He's the jersey I bought, and I got 2 Tank Dell jerseys. I got the one Battle Red from 2 years ago with the OG Battle Red, and then the new Battle Red with their new edition Battle Red with Tank Dell and the new unis. I love Tank. He's amazing. My thing was with the crying was I was like, okay. And then I kept watching. And what I didn't like was just, they just kept going to CJ over and over and over again. I'm like, all right, man. All right, CJ. Come on, the guy. Let's get it going. Like, I get it. One of your guys went down, but I'm kind of like, all right, what are we gonna do next? Immediately, you miss an extra point. All right, so 17-16. You only dropped 3 points since. And I know, oh, well, you're missing Tank. I get that. It just didn't feel like, because it feels like it bled over into the Ravens game. It just feel like mentally they were just checked out. And that's where I have a problem with this, is I'm going, okay, what's happening here? Because guys get hurt in the NFL all the time. Like this is the business. Unfortunately, that's the sad part of the business we don't want to talk about too much. It's injuries. Injuries happen every week. I'm just kind of like, all right, CJ, you gotta move on, man. Like adversity happens, but oh well, it's a next play mentality. That is something football coaches will continuously preach to you. Next play mentality. Like whatever happened, hey, okay, it is what it is. You got to flush it. What's the next play? CJ did not look good at all in the Ravens game. And in the rest of the Chiefs game, cried on draft night. That's the only thing I have is you scored 3 points in 2 games. You're looking at 6 quarters. You scored 3 points. That means it feels like it questions me going, okay, how mentally strong is CJ Stroud? That's the immediate question I bring up. I hate to talk about that. This is the quarterback of our team. I don't want to talk about that. But that's immediately what I think of.
Yeah, and that's fair. And again, like it's hard for us to know whether or not that directly resulted in him playing bad or not. Maybe he would have played bad regardless, and it's just a coincidence. So I get that. And then, people have brought up good points too. Like maybe like where's D'Amico in that role? Maybe he's a young coach and doesn't realize that he needs to step in and kind of do something. Or even people have mentioned, that's where he kind of misses Z's and his leadership presence at that point where he can kind of rally the troops. But it's hard for us to tell. I don't think it maybe affected him that much in the moment. And I guess something else we should point out too is, like when you hear about the injury post game, like Tank was like, I don't know if you've ever been on a football field when someone gets hurt like that and it's like dead silent and you just hear like these piercing screams. Like that just adds to the effect. And I think, like I mentioned earlier too, the fact that Tank was finally having a good game. It was a big emotional game. We're trying to beat the Chiefs. So like maybe it was just all this stuff came to a climax. But I think that's, you should point that out, that it was a pretty traumatic thing. And then it turns out like, I've never heard of this. I'm learning about this, but when you dislocate your knee, like you can potentially die or amputate your leg. You have like these vessel artery things coming in, and then you have the ambulance coming out. Again, I mean, some people may not like it, but your point is fair. Like, whether you move on or not. And again, it's hard for us to tell, but if it does bleed over and affect the performance after, then I'm with you, but it's just hard to tell. But hopefully, in that Ravens game, it was just, 3-4 days after. Hopefully that's behind us and, it doesn't have any effects going forward. I don't think it will, besides missing Tank for sure.
Unfortunately, that's the next topic, the Beyonce Bowl. That's what it's called for now on. I don't even 31-2. What was the immediate reaction? We'll just keep going into it. Ravens 31-2.
So, I mean, my slogan is blessing or stressing. And this one, I was depressing. Like, I was depressed, bro. Like, it ruined my Christmas. Like, I waited all day to watch this game, was like super amped up. I thought we might have had a chance. And then we just get routed. And, I would have been fine with losing that game and just being competitive. But the thing that like, for me, it was like a stark reality and like realizing, because I, out of this gauntlet of a 3 games, 11 days, I wanted us to win at least one game against the Chiefs or the Ravens. For me personally, to feel like the Texans are, have a legit chance to contend and make a playoff run this year. And I felt pretty good coming out of the Chiefs game, like hung in there, but still lost. And I was like, okay, well, now's our chance against the Ravens. We're at home. Our defense plays better at home. Although it was the first game playing without Jimmy and Tank. But yeah, like just the fashion we lost in, the defense. I had never seen a D'Amico Ryans defense look that bad as far as stopping the run, especially in the first quarter and a half, 2 quarters. I mean, yes, they have Derrick Henry, but it didn't matter who was back there. I mean, he wasn't getting touched until 5-7 yards down the field, like every play right up the gut. It was just pitiful. So that was, depressing. And then I thought CJ Stroud had the worst game of his career. I didn't I watched most of his college career. You could even say potentially in his whole career between college and NFL. And, it's, the same stuff we've seen where, play calling isn't the best. O-line's terrible. Receivers were making mistakes. Nico wasn't playing up to snuff, had a drop. But I think a big factor with the receivers being out was Tank was out. So now Mechie and Hutch were forced to play more. I think those guys were making mistakes, but CJ was making mistakes himself. And the biggest part for me that was concerning was like, I'm fine with the mistakes. It was like all of a sudden his accuracy was gone, which is something I had never seen. I guess we've seen it a little bit this year, but it was never that much. Like that was the most inaccurate I had seen him. So that made me feel bad. And then, he's just getting cooked on the internet, like between last week crying and now they're like again on primetime and he has another terrible game, like all the memes going around of him, working out Burger King. I was just like, man, this is, you went from this high of highs. But like to wrap up my answer too, though, like the reason why it hit me so much and like now I'm good, but I think it comes down to expectations. I was guilty of it. I think a lot of us were as well. Based off last year, this team was such promise. I think we might have overweighed how good we were last year, but it's the way we won last year. We won with offense and mediocre defense. And then going into this year, you think, okay, well, that's the floor. The offense will be way better. We're going to get our whole offensive line back. They'll be way better. They're way, way worse. So you're looking for improvement, but now this year it's the defense is way carrying the team and the offense has regressed. So, but yeah, for me, like my expectations were too high. I think overall the team is on the right path, but in the immediate sense, like I thought we had a legit chance to contend, and now I've kind of had to lower my expectations. So that's why I was depressing.
Big time. I was not happy. 31-2. No fan is happy whatsoever. And I'm in the same lines you're saying, man. The expectations around this team was adding a Joe Mixon and adding Stephon Diggs and re-signing guys and, your defense getting so much better with big free agent additions like Daniel Hunter. You added a Danico Autry, you signed Aziz, you drafting Kamari Lassiter and how he was looking in training camp added a lot to this hype as well, too. With Derek Stingley, we're going, hey, what we saw at the tail end of the year with Derek Stingley in the month of December was amazing. He's going to carry it into this year, which he has. The defense, amazing. All right. Hey, ultimately, my issue with losing this game, and I said the same thing on my channel, in the 3-game stretch of 11 days, you had to win 2 out of the 3, and you had to be competitive in all 3 games. You only won 1 out of the 3, and you were only competitive in 2 out of the 3 games. And that's why fans are crapping and poo-pooing on the Houston Texans, and that's why fans booed CJ Stroud on the field against the Baltimore Ravens. I had no problem with them booing him. None. Debbie the Texan, hey, I appreciate everything you do as a season ticket member, but people can pay their right money, man. I mean, there's a guy that commented and told Ruben, hey, I paid $2,000 for these seats. I do whatever I want. I mean, and I don't blame them. This sucks. What really sucks is the stigma is still the same old Houston Texans. Like, we can't win in primetime games. And yeah, we've won here and there when Kubiak and O'Brien. But when there's a legitimate primetime game, it just doesn't feel like the Houston Texans are up to the challenge. You thought they had one. I think of the Patriots game, Sunday Night Football, Bill O'Brien, Deshaun Watson goes to Hopkins, and Hopkins pitches it to Deshaun, and he scores for the end zone. And you beat the Patriots, and you're thinking, man, you just beat a badass team. And it comes to find out the Patriots sucked that year. they were just not that good of a team.
Yep.
And it makes you go, damn, when can we beat a really good team? Like, we're 1-5 against these top teams, and I know a lot of them, they're within one score, a field goal, but you still lost. You got to win. Like, at some point, the excuses got to be gone. You got to win these games. CJ looked horrible. There's not much else to throw there. CJ just, like you said, worst game of his career. And I could agree with you. I saw a lot of him at Ohio State, and I mean, he did. This is probably his worst game ever. It was that bad.
He'll
The
probably say the same
accuracy
thing.
issues, yeah, the accuracy issues were just unbelievable. I mean, you had people that watched and criticized, talked about CJ Stroud, criticized, not the right word, but watched CJ Stroud last year, and everything was about, oh man, look at the accuracy from this rookie quarterback. Like, he can put the ball anywhere he wants to on the field. We saw the Tank Dell pass from the Buccaneers last year, right near the sidelines. That is one of the prettiest passes you'll see.
And he missed that
And
same route, but it was 5 times more wide open. That's
yeah,
what that corner
you
route he missed
know,
early on. You're like, damn.
it just felt like everything went right for you last year and everything is going wrong for you this year. The offensive line, I don't even know, man. I'm sick of talking about the offensive line. It's just, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. I thought, hey, when we had a healthy offensive line last year, we were winning games. We were really good when we had, I forgot the stat.
All
Ruben always
backups,
has the
man.
stat, but he has the stat where we had the offensive line fully healthy. We were like only like 4-1 or something like that. Like, we were kicking ass. I didn't expect this to happen. We were on Netflix. We got embarrassed in front of Beyonce, Post Malone, the McNairs. City of Houston's embarrassed, man. Like, I felt horrible going into work the next day. Like, just felt horrible. Felt like shit. 31-2. 2 points came from the defense from a six. Shout out to Kamari Lassiter on that play.
Defense outscored the offense. That was insane, bro.
I mean, yeah, that's ridiculous, man.
Well, there was that decision by D'Amico. Like, it didn't matter in hindsight, but it kind of concerns me. Like, his game management has kind of been somewhat skeptical at times, but the fact that he went for 2 4th and downs early in the game on one drive, and then the next drive after, we're down 15-2, and it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 from like the 40 or something, and he punts it. Like, I think there was like this Twitter account that does like a wuss rating or whatever, and it was like 99 percentile, like, this is a terrible decision. It made no sense. Yeah, and it was like right before half. Yeah, like, so that just, like, I don't know. I am, like, I had time to process it, and like, y'all know me by now, like, I'm a pretty optimistic fan, so I do have like some takeaways. Like, we've heard about, like, maybe CJ's hurt, maybe that had to do with some of the inaccuracies, but I wouldn't say it's a blanket excuse for everything, but maybe it explains some of those wild throws. There is, the element of maybe we went in with the vanilla game plan against the Ravens. It did seem that way, like, on defense, like the way our defensive line is taught in this scheme is basically just, like he told Danielle Hunter early in the year, is just go. Basically, you just run straight up field fast, and then, the linebackers finish up the rest. And it seems like the Ravens took advantage of that. They were bringing tight ends to come in and get whammed and trap blocks on our, D lineman going vertical upfield. And it seems like we didn't adjust. So, like, maybe you kind of hang on to that a little bit. You also give the excuse of we had the earliest start in the year with the Hall of Fame game being an extra game and the latest start in the bye. I know that's passed, but, like, it's just been a long drudge of a season. Young team with all these primetime games, like, no consistency. One day you're playing this day, that day, this day. I mean, it's the same for the Ravens too, but I don't know. I mean, and the one good thing too is this game was on Wednesday and we're not playing until Sunday. So it's like another mini bye in a sense. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you just hope that we get refreshed and, just win one and take it from there.
We lost Tank, but we, addition by subtraction, you grabbed Deontay Johnson. The thoughts on Deontay Johnson, man, I actually don't mind this move. I thought they needed to make the move, especially when Tank went down. I really wasn't sold on bringing him here when Tank was healthy. Then when Tank went down, I went, okay, you got to do something to at least make it look like you want to compete. Yep. Like you haven't waved the white flag just yet. Even though it kind of, as a fan, there's like a gloomy cloud over this fan base and this franchise right now. And I get it. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of hope with this franchise. And hey, adding Deontay Johnson, I don't know. It's not going to solve your offensive issues, but you're not waving the white flag to the fans, at least. Your thoughts on the addition?
I agree with that 100%. I mean, this isn't the same old Texans in the sense that like we're willing to take risks. Like even us getting
Mhm.
Diggs was a surprise to a lot of us. Getting
Yes.
a player who was considered controversial and a potential risk, and it worked out great. Until he got injured. But and this to me, like this is like almost the exact same scenario. And I agree too that I probably didn't want him when we had Tank, but once Tank was gone, it was almost a no brainer. And he really is like a 1-for-1 replacement, in my opinion. Tank was that Z receiver who basically plays like 70% of his snaps outside, about 30% inside in the slot. And Deontay is that same position. He's about
Yep.
80% outside, 20% slot. So he can do both. But I mean, he has the same skill set to basically, replicate the route tree that Tank was running. And the more I've learned about it too, it's the same. I'm getting the same vibes as Stephon Diggs. Before we got Diggs, or even entertained it, like a lot of us were like, you don't really know much about the situations. You just think he's a cancer and that's it. But then like the more you look into it, it doesn't seem as bad. It kind of seems the same with Deontay Johnson. So I mean, Diggs was in Minnesota, wasn't becoming the guy, kind of forced his way out. Like he took matter into his own hands. People may not have liked how it went down, but then he went to Buffalo, got to a new squad and balled out. And then same thing kind of happened, forced his way out again, and then made it another good situation. So in Deontay's case, he was on the Steelers, had a couple good years, and then things started to go south, kind of wanted his way out. And then they just, basically said F you and traded him to the Panthers, and he couldn't do anything about it. So now he's stuck on one of the worst teams in the league. And when Bryce Young gets benched week 4 or 5, they got a terrible record. They're seller, so he gets traded, doesn't get to say where he wants to go, goes to the Ravens. We all assume, oh, Ravens got a receiver, he'll be the number one. And then you find out, he sits out of the game because he's like the 4th or 5th option. Like he wants to get the ball. So I mean, yeah, it may not be the best way of going about it, but like this situation is totally different. We claimed him. We're desperate for a playmaker. He's right there. D'Amico in his press conference has said the same things. Basically, he told him what he told Diggs. Once you walk in this door, you start clean. I'm not judging you for anything. And we saw how that went with Steph. And then, I found out from watching his interview the other day in the locker room that him and CJ are, somewhat friends, and they've been keeping in touch all season. Like he's been wanting to come here. So like, to me, it should be nothing but good. I'm excited for this Titans game. I want to see him get a bunch of targets. And then we'll see how it goes this game, playoff game, and then maybe we extend him. But at the moment, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I am too. I like the addition. I basically agree with everything you're saying there. I understand a lot of the stuff that he was going through or whatever. I know I have some friends in Carolina that do a Carolina Panthers podcast, and they were talking really highly of Deontay Johnson and his ability as a wide receiver. A guy in the locker room, they had maybe a different topic there. But you just mentioned it, man. We had somebody that had a similar tagline in Stephon Diggs, and that was being spread that he was going to be a cancer in this locker room and he was going to destroy it. And you took a chance and grabbed him, and there was nothing. Like there was just great energy within him and being a mentor. And Deontay Johnson, hey, I mean, hopefully it's 4 or 5 more games with him. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully,
Sure.
it this works out, but I don't think we're gonna have any trouble with it. I look at this Texans franchise, D'Amico and them, and it just kind of reminds me, and funny being Nick Casario, but and maybe this is where I draw the comparison. It just reminds me a little bit of the Patriots, where, and I'm not talking about the success, and there's no success there yet, but I'm talking about the Patriots took many risks on players with guys
Yep.
that had checkered history in pasts. And when they went into the Patriots locker room, it was like a whole new person. Like it was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Why didn't this guy? And then they leave the Patriots and they're back to their old self, and it's like, okay. And that just shows you what a really good ran franchise is with a good head coach, good stable management. That's what it shows you. Stability is huge. And I think the Texans have stability. And I also think Deontay Johnson mentioned he wanted to come here. He didn't even want to go to the Ravens. Like he wanted to come here. He talked about coming to Houston. I thought that was a small piece that no one really talked about. Like I thought maybe we can go into saying, oh, players still want to play for D'Amico Ryans. We could talk about
Yeah.
all the negative stuff, the last few games and stuff.
And with CJ.
People still want to play for these guys. Like they still want to play for D'Amico Ryans. They still want to come here for CJ Stroud. So that's still something that is going to be a good topic to have when you enter free agency this coming year in this offseason.
Well, you made a good point. You made a good point though about like having our culture established. You can take risks, quote unquote, on these guys, and like as a fan, you know, if they're comfortable taking a risk on a guy, they know that you know what they have in place is fine. So it makes it better when you kind of, you know, put that in perspective.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We have the season finales up, man. We got the last game. Man, I hate that, huh? You know, you just blink. I just remember yesterday, we were hyped as fuck about beating the Buffalo Bills. Hyped as fuck. I mean, I was talking some shit. I'm quiet as a mouse right now. I ain't gonna lie. It's been tough, man. Season finale, Tennessee Titans. D'Amico says, we ain't resting nobody. We playing them guys. Whether or not you can imply that the piece of the quote was also him talking about, we'll see how the game goes, you know? So, and I want to hear what you think about that. I don't want, if the Texans have a strong first half and he benches them in the second half, you know, I don't know how I feel about that because the Texans' second half has never been good. It's been horrible. They're one of the worst teams in football in terms of points per game in the second half, if not the worst. Like they're down there, you know. And I know that you want to, you know, rest some of these guys. I wouldn't mind resting them actually, considering that maybe there is an injured CJ Stroud. That's something you harped on before. That's like thrown around in the Texans community rumor mill. You know, whether or not he's injured or not. I mean, hey, CJ wasn't on the injury report today, or was it today or yesterday? He wasn't on there, so you know, who knows? But there's a lot of speculation that he might have an injury, and that's probably the reason why he missed a lot of the throws in the Ravens game and hasn't really been himself. As we saw the one guy, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but he had a tweet that it was going all the way back to the hit against the New York Jets, and it was like. And when you kind of look at it, you're like, man,
it lined up.
It kind of was like, huh. I hate to bring that as the excuse. You know, I hate to bring that.
It's part of it. I mean, there's a bunch of things. I mean, but
for sure,
you're not wrong for looking into it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, Titans wearing Oilers, man.
They got the Oilers. Is it announced?
I thought the Titans. Let me see. Let me take a look because I thought their official. Yep, it is their official.
I mean, you knew they would. The freaking Amy Adams, whatever her name is. They did that last year. I mean,
this is me, and with the Oilers shit. Like, I'm 26. You know, like honestly, I don't really give a fuck. You know, like, and you know why I don't give a fuck. And this is my take. People, the older people that are in the chat watching, the older people watching, y'all gonna hate me right now. But if the players of the past, Houston Oilers, and I'm not talking about Dan Pastorini actually goes to the Texans games and sits with the owners and wears Texans gear and is proud to wear it. And he has voiced his opinions about the Texans and Houston owning that name of the Oilers and the history around it. My take is, okay, well, if he can do it, then how come Robert Brazil and any of them old ass motherfuckers, they can't, they just quiet as a mouse saying no. Oh, Robert Brazil last year. Oh man, I was so happy to see my Oilers jerseys are back, rightfully where they belong in Tennessee. Oh, I mean, he's quoted talking about that. I'm like, all right, man, if y'all had balls, if any of y'all had some balls,
man, it's about the city.
Exactly, right? I mean, Warren Moon's a sellout. I already know that. I mean, Warren Moon could kiss my ass. You know, I mean, and Robert Brazil wants to be a sellout. Go for it. Earl Campbell, I can't believe that. I feel like they paid Earl Campbell. I can't believe Earl being there. Earl, I feel like they paid him a good lump of money for him to be representing some sort of Titan stuff, because Earl has always been here in Houston, rocking Texans gear, rocking the Texans history. There was someone recently, I forgot who it was a few months ago, that talked about Oilers being a Houston thing. And we always have this conversation every year, it seems like. I honestly don't really care about it. The past players don't care, so hey, fuck them. I don't care about them either. As far as I know, they're fucking Tennessee Titans, and I don't give a damn about no Robert Brazil, no Chris Givens, no Chris Dishman. I don't give a damn about any of them, to be honest. You're an Oiler, you're a Titan. Kiss my ass. That's how I look at it.
Well, I mean, they don't care. They don't care about us. I mean, it's just like any player. Once they're done, like they have no allegiance even then to the organization. They're just like, because they probably feel like, hey, they would cut me in a heartbeat. So why should I care? But I mean, the thing for me on the uniforms is like they're fucking sweet, So like
nice.
That's mostly why I like. But yeah, I mean, nice. I think it's all bullshit. It should be ours, but it is what it is at this point. I think the guys from Barstool, Bussin' with the Boys, Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, when they came to training camp with the Texans, they had a good proposition, which was the first game. Oh, shit. My shit's breaking, bro. Is that Amy Adams? Oh, damn, dude.
She gave you that fucking voodoo, bro, that black magic. You think the Chiefs only got black magic. She dialed it up real quick, man.
That's hilarious. No, I just set this up real quick temporarily because I've been putting it off for a while, so it's like hanging on a thumbtack. I'll leave it. It looks good like that. But yeah, they proposed the option of, the first game against the Titans and the Texans winner gets to wear the uniforms in the next one. Like that would be cool. But yeah, so that's a little added, motivation for us to win. We beat them last year when they wore it against us with Case Keenum. End of the day, the game to me is meaningless. I would like to beat the Titans because fuck the Titans. We don't like the Titans. I would hate to go 0-2 against them. But and it is
fans eat that up. Their fans would eat that up. Yeah, they don't care about. They wouldn't care about their draft. We swept the Texans. Oh, well, I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever fancies your
this is their Super Bowl, man. I mean, just like the last game they played us was. But I mean, we do have some things in our advantage too. I mean, Brian Callahan's probably going to treat this as like a evaluation game. Like he's mentioned, he's going to be starting both quarterbacks. So this is his last chance to get some tape on guys. Maybe he's not game planning to win, but more so to like put guys in situations where he can see how they are. So that might be an advantage for us. But D'Amico is in a tough position as far as rest versus rust because our team has sucked recently, and he's talked about it. You want to get that bad taste out of your mouth. I suspect it'll go like a preseason game where the starters play a quarter and a half, 2 quarters, especially on offense. Maybe some key guys on defense might sit out. But, yeah, I mean, you wish we could just go in this game and say, hey, we need to rest the starters no matter what, but we're not in a position to do that. Offense in specific needs to get it going. I would prefer that, first half thing. I know you mentioned second half. We're not very good, but
yeah.
Shout out Sarah. Appreciate you tuning in. I think she said she likes the new setup. Appreciate that, Sarah. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I do want to see is Deontay Johnson getting involved early and often. I want to see him have 10 plus targets, X amount with CJ, and then let Mills come in the second half. But I mean, he doesn't even need to know the playbook. He could just give him hand signals on some quick game routes, slants, outs. I think slants are the most important route we need from him because it hasn't really been in our offense. And we have defenses all year running 2 high safeties, which we've struggled against. And the idea on that is to force us to run the ball, and then we can't run it. So another way to beat it is to throw slants. They're typically good against cover 2. So I think that Deontay Johnson's a good slant runner just from his film. And then also from, you just watch the way he runs routes. He's very shifty at the line of scrimmage, so he can get good releases. So, yeah, I just say freaking throw him with slant every play. We could win. I don't know if we will, but I don't care. You want to walk away healthy. I know you mentioned like maybe play the second half, but what if we play guys in the second half? CJ's banged up and he gets even more hurt. True. It's just a tough spot to be in. I thought it was crazy at the Lions on Monday night. Dan Campbell was a fucking madman, played his starters, and it worked out great. They fucking dominated a meaningless game. I still think that was kind of a questionable decision, but Definitely want us to win. I think we can win and will win. If we lose, I don't care. It's all about getting the rust off, getting some confidence, and getting ready for the playoffs. So
That's the biggest thing is getting confidence. I think that's the key thing heading into the playoffs. Look, at the end of the day, I might talk shit about this team, but at the end of the day, I'm a fucking fan. Like
we
I
all
know
are.
what's going to happen. I've seen this script too many times. The Texans will play the Steelers first round,
Saturday at noon.
and Russell Wilson is the type of quarterback that has the least amount of potential compared to the rest of the quarterbacks in the AFC playoffs.
Yep.
I think we could all agree there. Now,
Mhm.
the defense for the Steelers, scary because the O-line for us, shitty. I just didn't know other way to put that. And I thought last year was going to spell troubles, but apparently Austin Deculus last year starting is better than whatever we can configure this year on the offensive line. That's how bad this is, okay? But it just feels like the Texans can win that game and can win it pretty well against the Steelers because they're going to be at
Yep.
home. Defense plays better at home. You're looking at a defensive matchup. I trust Kaimi Fairbairn. All right.
Mhm.
I trust him. He's going to
Yep.
do his thing. And I think CJ is going to do enough plays to win you that game. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to win that game. And damn it, I'm going to get hyped. I'm going to
I'm
get
with you,
excited.
man.
And I'm going to swell myself back into the Texans can go into the divisional round on the road.
That's
And
what I'm talking
why
about.
not
All right,
us?
let's go.
That's what it's going to be.
Thank you.
Why not us? We're
Yeah.
going to wake up the fan base. We're going to
Thank
have
you.
the watch party probably. Maybe not. We'll see how the logistics go. We probably will. And we're going to get our ass whooped.
Hey, we're still on the rise, though. We got to enjoy. Like, that's perspective,
I'll take
right?
it.
I mean,
I'll take
that's
it.
perspective, though. I was going to say that earlier. I mean, I get like we're frustrated because we expected our team to be here, but it's like you don't build a contender overnight. You know, like these things take time. Like you go and ask all the current contenders outside of the Chiefs. Really, I mean, Ravens, Bills, like like Josh Allen, his first, second year, like things weren't great. Like it took them
Sure.
time to get where they're at. So yeah, but like, so why deprive ourselves from enjoying the ride? Like, I
Why
get
not?
that loss was so bad, but like to your point, like why walk into this wild card game pessimistic when we're going to have a legit shot to win? And then, you know, if you walk into it pessimistic, then, oh, we're going to lose. And then if you do an, oh, well, we barely won, they suck, we're going to lose next. It's like, just enjoy it, you know,
Yeah, right.
enjoy the ride.
I look at it like this.
We needed that. That's a great message.
Man, I look at it like this, man. Players always say this. Just get me in the dance.
That's what, yeah.
Let me see what happens.
What do you think about it? Like, so we have a legit shot against this. I mean, hopefully the Ravens don't find a way to lose and play us, but it's either most likely the Steelers or the Chargers.
Yeah.
I would prefer the Steelers, but I think we can win against both.
Yes.
And then we go into Kansas City where we just went like less than a month ago and like went toe to toe with them. Like, I mean, we have a shot, you know what I'm saying? Like it probably won't turn out the way we want, but like we can talk ourselves into it. And then from there, you know, it's a long ride, but like, you know, let's just I like the mindset. And then Sarah brings up a good point about Tennessee. You know, they're trying to tank for a pick, so we'll probably win.
Sure.
Like that's a good bonus for us. And then another point too, I forgot to bring up as a concern of mine. Again, we have probably the worst interior O-line in the league going against one of the best interior D lines in the league in Sweat and Simmons. So that's kind of an area of concern for me too. So I feel like I should just point that out as well.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it happen in the last game. I mean, Sweat probably never had a sack since his sophomore year at Texas, and he hadn't had a sack probably since. And then he just runs himself into a cookie because he tosses Shaq Mason like a damn bag of jelly beans. I mean, well, I wouldn't say jelly beans. I'd probably say a vegetable because then that man is not eating. That man is eating, man. He's not throwing the vegetables. He's throwing vegetables away from him, man. That guy's stuffing his face. I mean, you let a fat fucking 350 get a sack. Come on, man. You
his fall off has been crazy. I think Father Time just caught up to him, man, because he was all reliable, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I thought we were gonna get more of the same, and it's unfortunate. And that's unfortunate. That's the tagline for the Texans 2024 season.
Anything that can gone wrong has gone wrong.
Basically, man, it was really bad. And to Sarah's point, The Titans winning is literally them losing. Like if they
Yep.
win this game, thank you. I wouldn't mind it at all. I would definitely agree and say, yeah, I'll put my pride aside and be like, I'd rather the Titans not get a Cam Ward and a Shadir Sanders. I don't know if those guys are going to be any good. I also don't want to find out in my division. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's how I'm looking at this.
Cam Ward's the real deal, man. He played at Incarnate Word, the college I played at. I saw him play his first game in the spring against Lamar, and right then and there, I was like, this guy's an NFL quarterback, and that was a while back. But I think he'll take time to adapt to the NFL. But I mean, yeah, like you said, like I'll take that. Like they're not in an enviable position,
Yeah.
All
right, man. That's the season finale. I mean, I don't think we got anything else to talk about. The Texans will whoop some ass. They'll beat the fuck out of the Titans. And then, because it don't matter. I mean, I don't care if they do or they don't.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure they beat the fuck out of them, though. I really do. And then we'll go into the playoffs. And, you just got to win 4 games. I mean, you've won 9 so far. It can't be that hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you. Like now that I'm thinking about it, like, and we're talking about the Titans winning the number 1 pick. Like, I think it's going to go how we want. We're going to play our starters. They're going to be, not really trying to win. They're going to be going for the number 1 pick and then like putting their guys in tough situations to evaluate them. I think our starters will play great in the first half, and then we'll probably win the game with them benched in the second half. Backups like Mills and whoever else will, be ready to prove themselves. I think we'll get confidence and we'll roll into that first game, and I think it might be a typical Stressens, nail biter, but we'll come away with a dub, and we'll be back in KC, and let's see what happens. I'm feeling good now, man.
Hey, run it back real quick. Let me see what Deontay Johnson's all about.
Yeah, future pro.
All right, man.
Texans, baby.
Yeah, man. We've gone way too long into this for 2 guys. Hey, whatever, man. 9:37 right now. We appreciate everyone that is tuned in, man. Hey, it's always go Texans on this side, man. I'm an all Houston guy, so it's all go Astros, Rockets, and Texans over here.
Yo, Rockets won.
Yeah, man. Great win from them. I mean, fortunate loss for PJ Washington for Dallas Mavericks, but hey, it is what it is. Rockets, they'll get back on this, man. They're a good team. Love Lamont Thompson throwing Tyler Hero around like
love
the
it, dude.
Potatoes. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, man, they're swarming. Rockets are swarming. Oh, big time. They're
I'm a
about
big
that
fan of
swarm.
that culture they're building, man.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm a big fan of Ime Udoka, despite what fans say about him. It's one bad loss. Come on, man. I'm not gonna fire Ime.
Well, they're so similar to the Texans. Like you got like a defensive minded former player head coach who
and the offense sucks.
You have this fuck you attitude. You have a shitty offense. You're young. You're overperforming where you're at, but you're on the rise. You're gonna lose games you shouldn't because you're still learning how to be a contender. But like it's a good time in Houston right now. Like we need to like not get same with the Rockets, not overdo our expectations and get upset when they don't fucking win the championship. Like, dude, like we're going the right direction.
Oh, big time. Big time. Again, thank y'all everyone for tuning in. Big shout out to everyone that did. Go ahead and check out the platforms, man. Stressens, you got anything to plug for them at the last minute?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing my show here in a minute. Give me about 5-10 minutes to set it up. I'll be going live, kind of just talking about the same stuff. But yeah, just check out my website, HoustonStressens.com. Get you a 713 shirt, even though 2 of the 3 are gone. But yeah, that's all I got.
Bad karma shirt, man. Eesh. I hate when that happens.
I actually could say 3 of the 3 are gone since CJ's not playing like himself.
True, that is true. I mean, I bought that Tank Dell jersey, and then like 2 weeks later, he had the knee happen. And I went, man, terrible. I hate when that happens. Good Lord. Oh, gives me bad vibes. Like, you know what? I'm not going to spend the money on a jersey.
That's all my Astros jerseys. I buy one, they get, traded or signed somewhere else.
God damn it. There goes my Bregman jersey now. All right, man. Let's get it out of here, man. 50 minutes in. I appreciate all of y'all tuning in, man. Y'all have a blessed night.